Down by 2, now they're out of timeouts.
Down by 2, 1.3 left. Down 2, gets a shot off.
Down by 2.
That is not why we're here, though. We are here to talk basketball. We're here to talk hoops. No, it's okay. I mean, we could go off on tangents all day long, but we have been doing a lot of doing some coverage last week more on the Eastern Conference. Now let's focus a little bit more on the West, and we really want to break down some, potential contenders and some pretenders as well, as there's a lot of things that have shaken up in the Western Conference and some teams that have really developed into championship caliber teams, or maybe not. That's what we're going to get to the bottom of, and we're going to kick things off with these Oklahoma City Thunder. My goodness, it's such a fun team, such a fun young team to watch, and amazing to see this core of young players really playing with the confidence that they all have, and the swagger as well. And to see Chet come into his rookie season, and let's just start off. Is this team for real, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so I've had this theory for a long time that when you're like building a young or like building a team through the draft, you really want to make sure that you time your crescendo correctly, or like your peaks correctly, because I call it sort of, it's almost like the Luka Doncic or Andrew Luck effect is it, depending on how big of a fan you are of either of the sports. But basically, you draft a stud player, he's too good in year one, and you end up not getting the draft capital you need to continue to build a good foundation around him. So like Luka comes in, and I guess like year one, I don't even remember what his year one was, but like Andrew Luck is the better example here, where it's like he comes in and he's like too good year one with a shit team. And so all of a sudden they're in the playoffs, they're drafting in the back half of the draft. They're not getting the like depth and good blue chip talent that they need. And so the Thunder, with that being said, them having that like really, bad year where they pick up Chet doesn't play. It kind of stifles that trajectory again. So they pick up more assets. They've got obviously all these assets from the Clippers, which, between you and me, I mean, I think the Clippers got fleeced on this one, especially when you're watching Shea at this point.
Oh my goodness. So imagine what could have been.
Yeah. And I think I think the Thunder are going to be awesome for like a 5-year stretch. I think this is the beginning of this, like the window's just started to crack open for this team. I would say like them missing the finals this year isn't like a disappointment. Them missing the Western Conference Finals isn't really a disappointment, because it's like, again, this team's trajectory is next year, year after year after year after. But I mean, 3 seed already, like they're in a good way.
I mean, they've been taken over. I mean, they're only a game back as of right now, and they seem to be bopping back and forth. But I mean, when you look at this team, Jesse, do you think that they actually have what it takes to make it to the Western Conference, or even the championship as well? Because a lot of people are just saying that, obviously this team is just too young. Are they too young and inexperienced for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like they're so young. Like this is the point where you get the playoff experience. Like I know I've preached this a lot in the past. Like you have to go through those playoff battles and lose. We've seen it over and over again. The Bucks versus Toronto, they just get slapped. And the Nuggets recently, they had lost so much in the playoffs, it's not even funny. And who else? Anyways, I just think like you have to get those playoff scars before you can advance. It's a learning process, right?
Celtics is another good example of that. Sorry, not to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's who I was thinking of. There's one more team that's lost a lot recently, and I mean, even Dallas, Phoenix, like teams like that. Like you gotta put in that work, and it kind of sucks to say that, but
yeah,
Clippers too, man. Like you don't just win it like right off the bat like that, especially with how young these guys are. Like I think once they go through it a couple times, like you said, Zach, like this is like the first year where okay, they're gonna make a serious push for the playoffs and to win in the playoffs, but if they don't win a series, I don't think it's the end of the world, because
Yeah.
that's just the first step, right? But I don't think these guys are just gonna make a crazy run to the finals. Like, when do you ever see that, other than, I guess, the Thunder, 10 years ago with KD
Yeah.
and Russ and all those guys, right? Like, it rarely happens.
I mean, it does though. I mean, not to. This is completely obviously looking at the NHL, but you look at the Vegas Knights for an expansion team, and boom, they are in the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, like, it can be done. That's a completely different dynamic, obviously, and you are playing with more seasoned guys that with the expansion draft and that sort of thing. But to just as a team chemistry itself, I mean, battle scars sure are definitely something that most teams do have to go through, but this Thunder team does seem a little bit different, and they're just playing with that confidence that, like, I think they're playing with more confidence than some of the other teams that are up there right now, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I do agree with you guys. I do think that they definitely got a rep in last year with the playoffs as well, and I thought that was good for SGA's development as well. But I mean, with the way that he's playing right now, and I mean, he could very well end up as the MVP this year, because it likely will be between him and Jokic, and because I don't know if Embiid's actually going to be able to stay healthy. I mean, we definitely are high on him, and I don't think so. So I mean, like, with the level that SGA has been playing, he will be able to carry this team, and I definitely put them as contenders, more on the bottom rung of it. They do kind of remind me of like a Kings team that definitely got their experience that they did last year and might be able to win a round, maybe two. But I mean, I wouldn't sleep on them when it comes to being contenders.
It'll also be interesting, like, if they get through the deadline and if they choose to use one of those picks. I don't know who's really out there that they could use a pick on that makes sense for them. I think, I've talked to people about this before, but they're like, oh, the Lakers should just fix themselves in free agency. And it's like, dude, this next free agency window sucks, and it's not good. So
no,
they obviously have all these assets. It is to say that if there's a star they're trying to pry loose, they can go about that. So it'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.